we're good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. But yeah, it's I'm always learning, and that's all I can say. I can learn something different every single day.
This might be hard. Could you give me a certain instance that you can recall where you learned something valuable from your kids? From your kids, from the student children.
From the students? I'm trying to think. You know, I have hundreds and hundreds of kids every day that come in, but I'll give you a great example. I had a student from Rockville Centre, and she has been gotten bullied so much, to the point where she left her school for the reason that her friends from grade school were bullying her, teasing her, because, you know, she was a little smarter. She was, you know, a little more intelligent. So what happened was her friends, you know, bullied her, and those friends left her alone after a while. And then she made new friends. But then the old friends came back and started bullying the other kids. Started getting in contact with the other kids. So now you have two different groups of kids. Started to bully my one student right now. Now she comes in emotional because, you know, it's hard on her. So she comes in, and I've only been teaching in my own school for about 2 years. So yes, this one. I was in the existing Hicksville school until I was, I want to say 21, and then from 21 to 23 right now I've been teaching in my own school, you know, so these are my own students. That was, for those 11 years, were my sensei students, you know, and I was just an assistant instructor, learned to become an instructor. So
She comes in?
Yeah, so she comes in as, you know, one of my fairly new students after about a year of me being here, and she was probably one of my first students that really got bullied to the point where she was emotional. She didn't want to go back to school. She was trying to find another school, you know, and it just made me realize that, you know, I thought I was the only one that got bullied, you know, to a certain extent, but I realized that it happens to everyone, and kids can be very cruel. And for girls especially, I saw how bad it could be, because I'm a guy and I know that it's a lot more physical, but for a girl to have it happen to her, and a lot more mental. She never had to fight or beat anyone up, but emotionally she didn't like going to school. Emotionally she didn't enjoy, you know, going and talking with other kids. She liked to be by herself after this point of being bullied, because all the people were against her, you know, because all of her old friends turned all of her new friends against her, you know. So what I learned was the fact that every kid, you know, wants to be a part of something. Every kid wants to be a part of a group, a part of a clique, and feel like they're wanted. And if I teach kids to be secluded, if I see the kids on my mat, you know, separating another kid, I always try to include them no matter what. And I always teach them that this is a life lesson, you know, and I tell them, if you were alone, would you like that? And they're like, no. So you have to make sure that you're being a leader in your environment, in your school, that you go to other kids that are alone and you're making friends, because how would you like it? You know, and that was one of the most empowering things that I learned from her, because she was one of my first students that actually got bullied to the point where it affected her, you know, everywhere, you know, at home and at school and martial arts too. And she was very shy. She would always apologize for everything, but I knew that, you know, I had to really hit home with her, because if I didn't, then she would be in a much worse place. You know, she would be one of these kids that are on TV committing suicide or these different things. So I knew I needed to really work with her, and I did. And now this is 2 years later, and she's doing amazing. You know, she's been here. She's competing in tournaments now. She's grappling. She's kickboxing. She is one of my best students right now.
Would you be comfortable in disclosing your name?
Yes, Charlotte.
Just spell that, please.
Yes, CHARLOTTE.
Last name too?
You can just put a G, the last initial. Yeah.
I believe I read an article on the blog about that. She got her, I think it was something called high white belt. It's a new student gets her first white belt, something like that.
It might have been. We have many different.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So you wouldn't be comfortable in giving her last name out without her consent?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. But how about her, the school she went to, or her age?
I know that she's 12 right now.
12 right now?
I'm sorry. Yeah, 12 or 13, I'm not positive, but she's one of those ages. I'm not sure of the schools that she went to, because now she goes to, you know, not a Rockville Centre school, just a different school, you know, like a private school. So that's why I don't know exactly which one she went to now.
If I were to go on the site and I find that article and discover that it is Charlotte, is it okay if I include her last name in that case?
Yeah, if it's on there.
It's the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Now, what has been the, well, you really did touch on that with that story. But what has been the most rewarding moment during your time here? I read a story about Angel T, a 5-year-old kid back in 2012, who, in quotes, not being able to sit more than 5 minutes, at times will lick the mat and lay on the ground during class, and a 180-degree change after 7 months here. You remember him?
He's still training with me today. You know, his whole family trains. His mother trains. His little brother trains. The dad was training up until the point where he had injured himself outside of martial arts. But it's such a great experience because now I see him sitting still. He's one of my best students, and he's changed tremendously, and to the point where he actually was now he entered a contest for writing a poem or a short story, and he was selected as the number one. He won first place on all of Nassau County, and this was just last week. He just got first place at a short story, and he's only now 7 years old. So 2 years later, 7 years old, he had been suffering through reading because he couldn't pay attention, and now he actually was able to be so proficient in it and gotten so good that he actually was first place, in entering this tournament, in this competition.
So he's 7 now?
Yes.
What belt is it?
He is a low yellow belt.
And back to Charlotte, what belt is she now?
High blue belt.
Okay. If I was a new student here, if I was a new student here who was quite lively, had problems with my focus and confidence, what would be the first thing that you would do?
Well, the first thing I want to do is, would you like me to go through the experience of like coming in through the door kind of thing?
Yes.
Or
What is an average day for you like at TSMMA welcoming a new student, a kid?
The moment that we have someone come into the door, the first thing I want to do is greet them, and I always greet them by name, and I stand up, I shake their hand right away. Kids and parents, if they come in with their kids, obviously, they come in, and then I bring them into my office, and I have them fill out a form, one of those beginner registration forms. That might be for those are the kids right there, yeah. And I have them fill out a form, and I have them take about 5-10 minutes and just really look at the form, fill it out into detail, and I let them hang out in the office with the kids, and then I leave. And then I come back, and as soon as I come back, I take back the form, and we sit down and we speak together. And what we speak about first is to the kid, and I ask him, whoever the kid is, and I ask them, what exactly are you learning today? And they might say fighting, they're like, I don't know, but I ask them, are you learning how to fight today? And sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no. Sometimes they're trained in saying no, I'm learning self-defense. Sometimes they don't know that they're learning self-defense, So first thing I want to do is make sure they're aware that they're learning martial arts. They're learning how to protect themselves. Right away, that's the first thing. And then I'm going to talk to them about a few things that they're going to experience on the mat, like the word oos. Oos is a respective word. It means hello, goodbye, and yes, I understand. I teach them that. I teach them my name, Joshu, and then I teach them their defensive stance. And now I tell them, there's only a few things I need you to do for me today. Whoever the kid is, we call them, let's say Johnny. Johnny, I need you to learn, I need you to do 3 things for me if you want to be a student in my school and get a uniform today. I need you to try your best. I need you to make sure that you have fun today, and I need you to smile. And with those 3 things, I'll have your uniform on you today, and you can be a part of my school. That's it. And they usually nod and say, okay. Now, there's only one rule, Johnny, that whatever you do today, whatever I teach you, you can't go home and you can't use your martial arts against other people just for fun. You can't go to school and show off in your martial arts. You can't go home and start punching and kicking everything. The only time you use martial arts is to be able to defend yourself through a bully, a stranger, an attacker when they physically try to hurt you. After that, I have them take a seat outside, and then I introduce them to CJ, my manager, or Anthony, my assistant instructor, and those guys will hang out with the student, bring them on the mat, and then afterwards, then we go on the mat. I'm here, and I'm talking to the parents, and I speak to them about their goals, and I speak to them about exactly why they brought their son or daughter in. And then after that, we really get in depth about their goals, and we give them a background about Tiger Schulmann and exactly where we came from, and then about half hour goes by in that total process. Then we're on the mat, and I'm teaching my class with that brand new kid on the mat. And then after the class, we'll bring them into the office. I let them sit down and speak together, and then after that, we are actually, going through the schedule and everything like that.
This might be a bit of a tangent, but it's still related to the kids. when a parent says that my child has been diagnosed with ADHD, what is your first thought?
Are they going to be on medication? That's my first. Because I've seen kids with medication, I've seen kids without. I know it's not easy teaching a kid without medication, being medicated, but I know that it's a lot more rewarding when I can work with a kid when there's nothing masking the actual diagnosis. So if they have a lot of energy and they just don't know how to focus, I know putting a kid on medication, they can sit still, they can pay attention a lot better. But I'd rather work with the kid when they're not on medication. That's what I believe. I believe in that all kids have energy. Sometimes it's just a big misdiagnosis. Sometimes, I can't say it all. But I know that when a parent comes and says ADHD, and many parents have asked me, what would you do? I would say, okay, well, we have to, I'm not a doctor, so we have to go through the opinion of a doctor first. But what I can recommend is that I know it's not going to be easy, but I'd rather, look, if you're going to give him medication, that's fine. That's between you and the doctor. But when they come to my school, I don't want them on medication. I want to really work with the kid where if I'm going to help them and fix him and they learn something, it's not with medication. It's really just themselves that I'm working with. Because if it's medication, then what happens when they're off the medication? It seems like they didn't really learn anything. But when I work with a real person with all the energy and they learn to calm that energy, soon enough they don't need to be on medication anymore. And they can really concentrate, and that's when I know it really worked.
How do the parents feel when you suggest them? Did you tell them that I would prefer if your kid wasn't on medication when they teach them?
Well, a lot of the students that I've taught with ADHD, they're on a patch or a pill or something like that, and they usually wear off by the time they enter into my program, because most of the time these medications, I should say, only last for the school day, because that's really where it affects them. So a lot of the students, they're not on it by the time I come in, and I just reiterate, look, I want it like that. I don't want you to put them on 24 hours.
You tell that to the parents
directly. Yeah, exactly. I say I like when I work with the kids. But I've never had a problem when a parent says you don't want them on medication. You do want them. I've never had a problem with that. They listen because I've been teaching hundreds of kids, and I know that it's not easy working with a kid with a lot of energy, but I have so many different techniques that I use, motivational techniques, positivity. There's no negativity in the school, absolutely whatsoever. But it's always making sure that it's for their benefit,
Have you ever gone into any conflicts with parents that don't feel comfortable in trusting you with their kids without medication?
No, never. In 13 years that I've been doing Tiger Schulmann's, never, not once.
Do you feel any pressure then, having such a guardian role in teaching these children, these other parents' children? Do you feel any pressure from that?
Every day there's pressure, because I teach a school with about 250 to about 300 students. It's definitely not easy, or knowing that people rely on me, to get the motivation to help them change their lives, almost like a personal trainer, But, there is a little pressure, but I'm not worried, because I've been doing it since I was young, that I got out all the trial and error experiences, like how to deal with certain situations, most common situations, and it's always a learning day, I'm always learning something new, but I feel like I don't have that pressure as much. Maybe when I was 17 and I was starting to learn how to teach, and I was more reluctant to try new things, but now I know how certain situations will turn out, so I know how to handle a lot more kids, who to put kids with, the different types of personalities with other types of personalities. So, I feel like I'm becoming more and more of an expert every single day, learning it better and better.
I know you gotta go soon. We're almost done. Excuse me if this sounds like a loaded question, but do you believe in ADHD?
Do I believe in it?
The question I should have phrased like, what are your thoughts on ADHD? Better way to say it.
I've read many articles, that say that ADHD is not true, and then I've read articles that say that it's very true. So many different people in the world have different opinions with that. I believe that everyone just has a lot of energy, and sometimes it's very tough to control the energy, and that's why medication is needed. But I don't believe in it so much.
Believe in what?
I don't believe in the ADHD so much, because I think every kid has energy. Just some people know how to control it better, or maybe their hormones are just a little more stable. But I think when a kid really focuses on how to keep themselves concentrating on one thing, I think that ADHD will disappear. Because if you give a kid a passion for something, like doing something, one thing at a time, they'll be great at it. Because I know a lot of, let's say, ADHD kids that if they go home and they just love something very much, that they can do it really well, and they don't move a lot, they don't have a lot of energy. So that's what I believe. I don't believe in it so much. I just know that a lot of kids have energy. That's what they're born with. A typical 5-year-old boy has a lot of energy. A typical 5-year-old girl has a lot of energy. We just need to know how to control that energy and give them something that they're passionate about. When they learn passion from one thing, they take it to another thing. They learn discipline, they make it self-discipline. They internalize all that.
Would you be okay if I put you on record the answer to that question?
To say that
about how you're not really 100% believing it.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. Well, as for I had to talk about those pictures over there. Could you talk about that? Who drew them? What they're about?
Yeah. I mean, that's actually two of my students. That I get a lot of pictures. Every single week. That no problem. Every single week, I always get pictures that kids draw because I become, a part of their life, and they're excited to see me. So that is something that kids do. They draw me pictures all the time, and they give it to me, and I hang them up. I hate, getting rid of them. But we recently redid our school, so that's why there's really nothing in our office except for the 2 plaques and these 2 pictures and a clock in here right now.
Okay, now that we're done.